Hey, I'm Robert.
And I'm Evelyn.
And this is Token About It.
And we're on chapter 2 of book 6.
The Land of Shadow.
Yeah. So fun fact.
No.
We didn't record my predictions last time.
Oh, we talked about it. We didn't. That's right.
Yeah, we paused it, but we forgot to start recording again.
That sounds like us.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I did redo my predictions before reading.
Okay.
So, So, I don't know what my previous predictions were, but these predictions were hard. And I remember having a hard time with the Land of Shadow. So, my predictions. So, okay, I'm just going to say I think I nailed it. I think this is the first time that all three of my predictions I've nailed.
Spit it out.
So, the first prediction is they will notice Gollum following them again. My second prediction is there will be more orc encounters.
And that was like, give me, but go ahead.
And I'm going to argue you said yes last time because you can't say otherwise. And then the other one is Frodo would have more symptoms of carrying the ring so long.
Okay.
I think I nailed it.
Yeah, not quite nailed it, but did pretty good.
I think I got an A on all of this. I got at least a 90% on all of these.
Maybe a B plus.
No, I nailed this. I absolutely nailed it. No, I'm so proud of myself. This is the first time all of my predictions have basically been correct.
Okay.
I'm proud of myself, okay? All right. So, the action starts off pretty much right off the back, going straight from the insane events of the last chapter, where they're trying to get out of there. It's a lot has happened. They need to just leave. And my favorite part of this entire beginning is Frodo starts, because their entire premise at the end of the last chapter was to dress up like orcs to try to sneak around a little bit better. And Frodo states that they aren't acting like orcs, where orcs would be running towards the tower, not away from the tower. And my thought is, Frodo, what in the world thinks that you're going to pass for an orc? With how small you are.
Well, there are those small weakling orcs.
I know, and we'll talk about it later. But in this moment, when I first read it, I was just like, Frodo, baby, no one's gonna believe you're an orc. They're gonna be so confused.
Well, they think Sam's an elf lord.
We'll get to that later too. But yeah, orcs are not the brightest bulbs. It was very interesting, but yeah, they're able to get a little bit out of the way before they start hearing possible people.
Right. So I got a lot of religious connections out of this one.
I feel like that's everything.
No, I mean more than my usual.
Oh, okay.
So where do they hide?
They jump off a bridge.
And into
thorns.
Okay, so thorns have always been seen as a menace.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Though I will say, Sam notes that he's surprised anything can grow here, even thorns. I wanted to point that out.
Okay, so thorns often equal evil. Okay?
Okay.
St. Paul talks about the thorn in his side, the thorn in his flesh,
Okay.
as being something that keeps him from being what he wants to be at the level he wants to be. Okay?
I just think of Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty wasn't a thorn.
There's thorns in Sleeping Beauty. She's surrounded by thorn fields when the evil witch finds out that or am I thinking Rapunzel?
I don't know, but you're not.
No, yeah, it's Sleeping Beauty. She's surrounded by thorns. That's why one of her nicknames is Briar Rose in some stories.
Okay.
Because thorns cover up her castle to keep people from getting inside.
Okay. I didn't write down which one it was, but one of them sees in their mind a great wheel of fire.
Yes, it just kind of mentions that there is this great wheel of fire.
Great wheel of fire, and that is classic and Christian metaphor for hellish torture.
Okay. Again, I'm just thinking of the Princess Bride now, the torture wheel.
Thorns can be an answer to prayer, but not an answer that one expects.
Okay. I mean, it did soften their fall.
So, yeah.
Okay.
But also, I thought it was interesting, too, because Frodo says something such as, he hasn't a hope left.
Yeah, I noted that, too. Sam asks Frodo if he has hope, and Frodo's like, no, not really. Just right off the cuff, just easily, it's like, no, not really. We'll keep trying, but I don't have hope. I feel that.
Yeah. Frodo feels much better when he can take off that orc cloak and just put the regular cloak back on him.
Yeah, he feels much lighter.
It's one, it is much lighter, but two, metaphorically, cloaking someone with your love. A cloak protects you from things, from the weather and so forth.
Yeah.
Particularly, and their cloaks also help camouflage them.
Right.
So it
but
is
they also
uplifting of the heart.
Yeah. But they also kind of note that it's like with these thorns, like nothing would have stopped it from poking at them and hurting them. Yeah. And Sam notes that even though they kind of want to get rid of this orc male, that they should keep weapons with them because Gollum might be around. He is so ready to fight. But yeah, they have to rest a little bit after freeing themselves. It takes a very physical toll on them. And as they're resting, Sam actually starts to drift into sleep. And this is kind of the first time we see Sam really showing the physical effects of this entire journey.
I actually think it's more emotional.
Okay.
So just think when, today you took your final exam.
Yeah.
When you got home, what did you want to do?
Eat.
And relax.
Yeah.
Kick up your feet and say, thank God that's over.
Yeah.
See? So I think that's part of what Sam is responding to as well.
Okay.
Also, when they talk about the wind changing.
Yes.
And that's often a symbol of a good omen.
Right, but I have a lot before that.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
There's a lot before that. So basically, as they're kind of moving back on, Frodo admits that he's really thinking about home and about the Shire, and he's starting to lose the image of it in his mind a little bit, and how he longs for that simple life again. Mm-hmm. And Sam kind of laments a little bit about Lothlorien and about Galadriel, about his lady, about wanting to see that again and to survive with that. And what happens is they kind of sense a black rider coming, and they're able to stop and wait till he's gone. And as he leaves, they kind of get up, and that's when the faint light starts to appear. And Sam's kind of he knows that it's because the darkness is not getting his way. He says His darkness is breaking up out in the world there. And they hear the death scream of the Witch King. And it says this scream didn't frighten them because it was a scream of death and despair and of ending. Like, this is the one scream that, like, doesn't frighten them. And so that means that this is happening during that whole battle, which to me means that back at the Black Gate chapter, Sam and Frodo are long gone. So the bluff is even more of a bluff than we originally thought. When they're just like, ha ha, ha, we have your friends.
Right, yeah.
Like, obviously we knew it was a bluff, but, like, it's a bigger bluff. It's not like, it's like, oh, they just escaped, whatever. But no, it's like, they've been gone a few days by the time they get there, for sure. Yep. So I thought that was interesting. Well,
of course. I mean, think of how long it probably took to get the stuff up to the gate so they can show it off.
Mm-hmm. And then that's when, like...
You're getting ahead of me now.
Am I ahead of you? Okay. Yeah, so this is when Sam asks about Hope again. And he's like, not really. So I missed up my own notes. But yeah, this is back when he's asking about Hope and Frodo's like, no, not really.
Yeah, he doesn't have a hope left.
Yeah.
Just like he doesn't have a F left.
True.
And the water they find is cold.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting. You would think...
Like, with how...
you would think that water here, especially around a volcano and all, would be... Like,
warm.
Yeah. I mean,
and acidic.
It's like that lukewarm water.
Yeah.
That you
just...
Yeah. Even if it's clean.
But yeah, this is where Frodo starts recognizing his own limitations with the ring, how heavy it's feeling. He's recognizing that it's kind of weighing on his mind. And I think that's very insightful that Frodo is able to kind of recognize that in himself. But yeah, they find the water. And again, they kind of say it's a miracle. And the water is absolutely disgusting. And I wanted to know, this is how you fail naked and afraid. All the time. They will find a source of water, and the women will always go, don't drink the water until we purify it because it's not safe. And then as soon as they turn around, the man will drink the water and immediately get sick and have to go home at, like, day 3.
Well, that sounds like smart to me.
Nearly dying from dysphoria.
Better than dying from falling off a cliff. But then I love this little detail, and I can't find any other reason for it other than it just being a little detail about this land. Mm-hmm. They find bugs with a red eye-shaped blotch on their back.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting. I'll have to remember that for D&D later on.
Yeah, it was a vibe.
So... Also, as Sam is looking up at the sky, he focuses on a star. Mm-hmm. And, again, in Christian mythos and other myths, a star is often a sign of hope. Okay. So he's getting a little bit of hope from just seeing the stars, from just, that the sky is clear enough that he can see the stars.
Yeah. And it's clear enough that as they're traveling and resting, they're seeing Mount Doom. But at this point, they're like, it's at least 40 miles away at this point. Yeah.
So
that's a long way.
Yeah. So also, by being able to see the stars, it's telling us that, darkness is only a small and passing thing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And another reason why they're able to get away with doing what they're doing where they're doing it is because Sauron's forces have been beaten back.
Yeah.
And so the eye turns inward with doubt and loathing.
Yeah, I actually wrote down the quote because I thought it was interesting. The eye turned inward, pondering tidings of doubt and danger. And to me, that's something that I think Tolkien does better than any other writer, is writing his villains. Because a lot of times, coming from a lot of like the old sagas and the old like Greek myths, Norse myths, a lot of stuff.
Why are you so evil? Because that's the way I am.
No, I don't even mean that. I mean where it's like the villain or the bad guy has so much hubris, where it's like they're like, oh, I'm failing a little bit, but I'm still gonna win, and it's like they don't look at why they're failing. They don't evaluate what's happening. They just kind of continue on with their plan because they have the perfect plan. Instead, Sauron is like, okay, they were able to get a hand up here, so let's reevaluate. Let's see how we can really mess with these guys more.
But the other thing is, along the timeline, because if you look at the scheme that he laid out, that Tolkien laid out, is that it's been 10 days since Aragorn revealed himself in the Palantir.
10?
10 days. It's been 10 days since he showed himself
in the Palantir.
Yeah, where Sauron could see him.
Was that before or after the battle?
10 days ago. It was before that battle. It was before the battle. 10 days before this moment for Sam and Frodo.
Okay, I was thinking it was after the battle for some reason. Okay. I must have got my timelines confused. That's what just confused me. It was pre versus post battle. But you're right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so they're seeing these armies of darkness, and while Sauron is contemplating how to best use his army, Sam raises a great question that, again, I absolutely love Tolkien for. How does he feed all these people? And it's like, that's something that happens all the time in like movies and TV shows, where it's just like sometimes you gotta wonder, it's like, wait, where do they all sleep? What do they eat? What are the logistics of this thing? But Tolkien addresses it. He obviously he doesn't answer it, but he has like someone actually like wonder out loud, like, wait a second, how is this happening? And it's just amazing that he does that.
Yeah.
Like, that's so great that he does that. It's I think he would vibe with millennials a little bit, honestly. I really do.
So then as we move along, they find the two orcs talking to each other about Gollum.
Yes.
And that he's wanted alive.
Yes.
But I love how they describe him.
Yeah.
That thing with floppy arms.
Yeah, that they describe him in like such a demeaning way, and Sam's like, yep, that's Gollum. And it's so funny to me. And like, they're trying to figure out a way around all of these orcs. And while they're doing that, they're listening to them talk about the thing at the tower, where someone's like, it was an elf lord. And someone's like, I think it was a dwarf warrior. And they're having all these different things. And I'm just cracking up because it's like, Sam pulled a Bilbo. Yep. He did. He put that's out of Bilbo's playbook. Honestly. And I saw, the funniest meme that I did post on our social media, where someone was talking about, how Hobbit it was for Sam to just start singing when he was, at the end of his wits, and how Frodo, being so delusional, was such a hobbit where he just sang along. And it's just how much of a hobbit that was. And I just thought it was really funny that I saw that meme right after you read this, so I just thought it was really funny. But yeah, I love how they're just Elf Lord, Dwarven Warrior, and it's so funny to me.
So you're also you mentioned about Sam saying, how do they feed all these people? There are some other things in there too. Tolkien mentions that since the two orcs are from two different tribes, they speak two different languages,
Yeah.
so they have to talk to each other in common.
Right.
And that's why they can understand.
Yeah.
It's not like, in D&D, where sometimes as a DM, you'll forget
Yeah.
you'll say, well, you hear them saying da 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 da, but you didn't check to see if anybody understands that language.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's really interesting how they're able to do that as
it's
well.
It's like he predicts what questions people might have. How did they understand that?
That's
and he goes, bam.
That's what I honestly love about Tolkien. Tolkien is just like, is that a hole? And then he doesn't just fill the hole. He builds a mountain on top of it.
Yeah.
He's just like, it's so funny to me that Tolkien he's that writer. He's that guy that is so into he is so in tuned into his own world. Because we have high fantasy sometimes like that where the magic system isn't completely thought out and the thought process is just accept it. But for Tolkien, it's like he has too much information to put in there, but if he could just be a ghost and lecture for a millennium about his entire world that he's created, we still wouldn't know everything.
So this reminds me, I watched the little 30-minute thing from Masterclass with Neil Gaiman talking about Tolkien. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things he talks about is that Tolkien was able to create this world that was believable.
Yes.
And he says, there is no way that I could create a world. He says, I would be more like C.S. Lewis.
Uh-huh.
Whereas they found a gate into the other world.
Yeah.
And then because they're
all related, and it's like you can go. There's different portals in between, but C.S. Lewis just said, "Nope, here we go."
You just got that wrong.
What?
C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis is the one that had to make a way in and out of the place.
Yeah.
And,
okay.
But it's because it's interesting to hear such a prolific fantasy writer talk about how much they do what they do because of Tolkien.
Yeah. Like, there's some people that are so inspired by Tolkien they want to create their own world, and then there's some people that are just like, no one can beat Tolkien, so I'm not going to try.
And I want to add one more thing about this discussion. Well, not really discussion, but
rabbit hole.
With a rabbit hole. Game going down.
Something we've never done before.
So, not about this subject anyway. So, what's really interesting about him? So he knew the C.S. Lewis books. He knew the Narnia books. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, he happened to come across a book that had the same type of art on the front as the paperbacks for the Narnia books.
Okay.
And he looked at them and found out it is the same artist.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, well, if the same artist is drawing, I wonder what this is like. And the book he found was The Token Reader. Oh. Which is short stories.
Okay.
Which led him to
Lord of the
Rings.
Interesting. Okay.
And then also in this, he talks about he decided to never watch the third movie.
Okay.
Because
he didn't want to ruin it with his own imagination.
Yeah. He had that part so ingrained into his imagination, he didn't want to screw with it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. No, I get that. That's something that happens a lot of times when you read the books before seeing a movie or a TV show.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, back to our regularly scheduled program. So they still have a long way, and they're still at this point trying to avoid the orcs. And while Sam's getting some water, he sees what he thinks is Gollum. And Sam is down to fight. he starts chasing after this figure, just absolutely ready to stab.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just think, and he loses the figure and he goes back to Frodo, but I just love how he's just, like, immediately on it.
Right, and it's interesting that this is his character flaw. You know, everything else about Sam is about being a gardener and the love of life and, you know, stuff like that. I mean,
but even Gollum gets under his skin.
Even, you know, what was the gift that he was given? He was given a box of soil.
Yeah.
So when he goes back to the Shire, you know,
his garden will flourish.
His garden will flourish.
Yeah, and then he just wants to fight. He really hates Gollum. And that should tell you a lot about Gollum. That Gollum can, like, make the sweetest person, like, want to fight. Because we all know those people. We all know those people who are super calm and super lovely, but you see them get upset at someone and you're like, oh, they messed up. But
and also mentions in there something about the spirit of Mordor.
Yeah.
And so Mordor was basically part of the creation that Sauron helped with.
Yes.
And so that's why when he decided to do what he was going to do, you know, he went to some place that he felt safe because he created it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then I also thought more about the thorny bush.
Okay.
And how it was a place of safety.
Okay.
Reminds me of Bear Rabbit.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever you do, don't throw me in that thorny bush.
Yeah. I gotta say, I'm so glad I was able to go on Splash Mountain before it was taken down. I completely understand why it was taken down. I support the decision, but when I went to Disney as a 4-year-old, I wasn't tall enough to go on, so I couldn't go on it. So when I had the chance as an adult, I felt like I wanted to experience it once, you know? But I do fully support the decision of changing it, and it sounds like it's going to be really interesting with
This is
Princess
a really
Frog stuff.
long, in the wrong direction rabbit hole.
Okay, yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
but there's, you know, but they hear the noise of marching feet. I mean, just
yeah.
Dum, dum,
And they're trying so hard to dodge all of these, like, D-list orcs, but they're at a point where they can't do anything. So they decide they're gonna just pretend to be really tired, and they're just like, they're moving really fast. They're just gonna ignore some guys resting, and they do at first. The regular soldiers, like, care less. But then one of, like, the captains sees them. And he's like, up on your feet, boys. Let's keep moving. Like, whip, whip.
But see, and they're mistaken for the little orcs.
Like, how little are these orcs, though?
They're tiny. Orcs and goblins are normally small.
No. Orcs are big, goblins are small.
But for Tolkien, that word interchanges.
Orcs can actually be that small.
Yes.
Because it's like, I know the Uruk-hai are like the uber big ones.
Right.
But like, they're the berserkers. But
orcs, not only are they small, they're hunched over, so they're not tall.
Yeah, but orcs to me were always man-sized.
No.
Orcs are man-sized.
Orcs are man-sized because that's what D&D tells us.
That's what Tolkien tells us.
No.
Yes.
Not all of them.
I swear, I was completely under the impression that regular orcs were man-sized and the Uruk-hai were just, like, even bigger, and, like, goblins were, like, dwarf-sized, and hobbits are even smaller than dwarves, which is why this just is not clicking in my head.
So
it's not.
But
they must think to me, it's like, they think they must be really, really pathetic orcs. Like, they're lucky to make the D list.
So,
but
remember, they're not very smart. smart.
Yeah, they're not very smart.
Well,
but
these are some tiny orcs. They weaklings.
Yeah.
Get the heck up and get walking.
This isn't, because I'm sure Tolkien has an actual real proper explanation of all of this. How it's probably something like it's war, and like you said, the goblins are hunched over, and they probably think they're just the really pathetic D-listers. And it still just blows my mind that they're able to get away with it.
Well, so
because the orcs with Merry and Pippin, yes, again, they were the Uruk-hai and they were huge, but they were they knew how big a hobbit was supposed to be. They knew.
Well, because they were looking for them. They were looking for them.
Oh, that's true. These other orcs probably had nothing.
Yeah, these are the
duds.
The duds, the dumb foot soldiers, the ones that you point and say, kill.
No, these aren't even those. These are the ones that you say, go over there and stay out of the way.
So.
They're literally, these are the ones that are telling you to go stay out of the way.
No, you don't tell them to stay out of the way. They're cannon fodder. You tell them to go get in the middle of it.
Oh, true. Yeah, but, yeah.
So.
Yeah. But anyway, they're running with them. And they're able to find a way to, escape and kind of get away, and that's kind of the end of the chapter.
Well, and it's interesting too because there's this dualism between luck. I mean, is it luck or is it prayers answered? That they didn't get noticed for who they really are. Especially with, this is my big fault. This is my big thing.
Okay.
They're not wearing boots.
They're not.
Their hairy feet are out there for God and everyone to see.
I mean, they could just... Okay, I'm going to put this out there. They've been walking around in the swamps. Their feet are probably so gross and hairy, they look like boots.
Maybe.
I'm going to put that out there. That would be my personal reasoning. Because I would say it's got to be... I feel like it's divine luck would be what I would think of it. Where it's definitely luck, but it's because even though, the higher forces of good, all of those gods and everything, even if they can't directly interfere, they can at least, give a little push. It's like the Greek gods where they can't interfere, but they can push the wind in a certain direction. Kind of thing.
And as you said earlier, they see how far away Mount Doom really is. Yeah. And the reason they don't talk much about it, but the reason they thought it was closer
Because of how big it
is because of how big it is.
Yes.
I mean, it's so big.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's so big, you think it's closer.
Yeah. And which brings us to the next chapter title, which is in fact Mount Doom. Mm-hmm. Now, before we get into that, I will say, because this is the chapter of Mount Doom, so the class that I just had my final in today was historical geology. And we talked a couple episodes ago just mentioning the geology of Mount Doom.
Yeah.
And so I mentioned it in class that we had discussed it. Just at the end of class to a couple people and the professor that was still at packing up and everything. And a couple of my classmates were like, that's really interesting to think about. And my teacher goes, man, book nerds. And I look at this guy and I'm like, didn't you just... I'm looking at my professor weren't you the one that said as a kid you would sort sand? By color? And I love my professor. Shout out to Professor Cutler, MVP, made me care about a subject I previously didn't care about. But it was just so funny that he was like that, where he's just the fact that he was annoyed that geologists would care about a fantasy geology world was pretty much what he was saying.
So I want to give a shout out to anybody who will go back and re-listen to this. Count how many times Evelyn said and let me know.
Still not as many times as that one girl in class. Anyway, they're never gonna listen to this. But yeah, the next chapter I will officially discuss the geology of Mount Doom and go down that rabbit hole.
Okay.
That being said, we have predictions.
Predictions.
Now, part of me...
We need a song to introduce our predictions.
Absolutely not. Neither of us can sing.
I'm thinking about maybe getting Alex to write something.
Oh, yeah, that would work. When we have, 5 chapters left? But no, so... Okay. So I was thinking about trying to think of some predictions for Mount Doom prior to recording to make things go a little faster. But all I could think about is this is a trick. This has to be a trick. We're in chapter 2 of the final book. And the final book has 10 chapters?
All right, so for those of you out there who have read all the way through the books.
Okay, oh my god. You know where this can't be the Mount Doom part. This has to be a trick. This cannot be the part I'm thinking it is.
All right, guys. Those of who read all the way, has already read through the book, has an idea of how much I'm struggling not to tell Evelyn something. For one, she's very, very wrong. But why is she very, very wrong?
Okay, so it's not that part. Okay, because I was thinking it's
No. It's Mount Doom.
No, oh my god. I'm gonna cry. Okay, so I'm thinking with Mount Doom that this is the part. This is the big reveal. This is the wig reveal at the end of Drag Race. This is Sasha Velour killing it. You watched that season. Don't pretend like you didn't. Big Drag Race fans over here.
Vroom vroom.
And honestly, it can't be. So my prediction is that it's just, can I make my first prediction that it's just the rest of the travel towards Mount Doom?
You can say that.
Okay, because I don't
But are you saying that's all it is?
Ooh, I hate you right now. Yes, I'm saying, I'm not necessarily saying, I'm saying they're not going to start climbing up Mount Doom. I'm saying that this is probably where they're going to reach the base camp.
Okay.
And then they're going to have to find some Sherpas. I'm very anti people climbing Mount Everest. Okay.
So, when you think about Mount Everest, every dead person.
They're used as mile markers.
No, every dead person began as a person with high esteem of themselves.
They had goals.
So what's the lesson there, folks? Okay,
Don't climb Mount Everest. It's a terrible tourist trap right now that's actually really dangerous and causing an environmental problem.
You're going to delete that.
Why?
Because
I'm keeping it in.
You're getting too preachy.
Anyway.
And that's coming from the preacher.
I have feelings. Okay, so yeah, they're going to get to the base camp. And can I say they'll also...
Why do you say base camp? They don't have a friggin'
I mean base camp as when you get to the foot of a mountain and where you rest for a minute before actually climbing the mountain. That's what I mean. I don't think I'm not saying it's an actual camp. I'm using it as a term.
But it's not a term.
It is to me. In my heart. Okay, so they get to the base of the mountain. Can I say...
This is what I live with, folks.
If I get very specifically, let me get away with this. My next prediction is that they will hear about Gollum and think that they might be seeing something related to Gollum, but they won't actually interact with Gollum. Can I get away with that?
Okay.
Okay, cool. Now I need a third one. I don't want to use because I'm already kind of reusing the Gollum one, so I don't want to reuse another one, but I really think there's going to be more orc encounters.
That is not a valid prediction.
I know. It was barely one last time.
I'm not allowing it.
I didn't think you would.
Not
and
allowed.
I don't want to allow it for myself.
Not allowed.
I don't.
Boom. Prediction.
I don't know for a third one.
The word is going to show up in the chapter more than once.
Evelyn is gonna say like more than once. Ooh, can I predict that they will get the sense that Sarn is starting to catch on to them being there?
You can say that.
Oh, so I'm wrong. Okay. All right. So to recap, Tolkien is magic. Thorns are symbolic. Don't climb Mount Everest. I think we covered all of our bases.
And the Wheel of Fire.
Oh yeah, the Wheel of Fire. Okay. I'm just literally just imagining like a Ferris wheel on fire.
Okay, so we haven't had a song for a while. Actually, no, that's not true.
No, we just had one.
We just had one. But okay, so
that was the joke we were making.
a Wheel of Fire.
Okay.
I fell into a burning ring of fire.
This ring of fire, not wheel of fire.
It's still the same thing. It's round, and it's torture.
Well, it's definitely torture for me, I can tell you that. Not because it's a bad song, but because my dad overplays it in the car. On 18-hour car rides.
Johnny Cash is the greatest songwriter ever.
Okay, so what's your excuse for Jimmy Buffett?
Jimmy Buffett just inspires us to be like Buffett. I want my life to be like a Buffett song.
Alcoholic, no women, and depressed?
No. I don't give a F. Lifestyle. And he can afford to not give an F. He has his own plane. He flies it everywhere. He's got 2 big-ass sailboats that he sails everywhere. I just want my life to be like a Jimmy Buffett song.
Okay.
And the only one it's probably going to be like is with the refrain is, I'd rather die while I'm living than live while I'm dead.
Okay.
Meaning he doesn't want to grow old and have to sit around in a wheelchair. He'd rather die falling out of his plane or something like that.
I just want a cheeseburger in paradise. Okay. I think that's it. So I've been Evelyn.
And I think I'm Robert.
And we're talking about it.
Maybe.